Coach, you guys coming off another tough loss, 34-33 loss at Indy on Saturday night. Your second loss in a row, but by a combined 4 points. Just a quick recap, you took the lead with about 30 seconds left on a touchdown pass from Heath Parley and Andrew Lorman, 31-yard score. About 20 seconds later, with 11 seconds left, Indy scores on a late touchdown pass. Kind of talk about those final few minutes and what happened.
Yeah, taking it back just a little bit too, we went out there on offense with the chance to take the lead and we threw a pick. And so our defense took the field. We actually were able to force 3 downs and get them to the line for a field goal, 4th down. They tried to fake the field goal, go for the win at home. And we ended up stopping that field goal, so our offense got the ball back. And I thought a great job by our offense, and specifically Heath Parley in taking us down the field with that much time and getting the ball across the end zone. So then we squib kicked to try to. We hadn't been great in our kickoff coverage, so instead of kicking it deep, we're going to try to keep the ball on the ground. Probably gave them a little bit better field position than we maybe needed. The first play, which doesn't really show up on a ton of highlights, made a huge difference. They completed a ball underneath, and instead of tackling the guy in bounds and getting him a chance to be a 2nd down play, they would have had to burn a timeout and allow us to regroup. We missed a tackle. The guy was able to get the 1st down and get out of bounds. And then the next 2 consecutive plays, we allowed the quarterback to have too much time, and we didn't quite get enough depth with our drops. And Forney got in that seam between the linebackers and the safeties. And, the first one was a fairly easy completion. The second one was in a pretty tight window, and they made a play. So very disappointing that our offense is able to give us a chance again to win the game. We can't close out the game defensively. And same thing I said before, 34 points given up is too many, and we've got to get, obviously, that corrected. So, and I'm not putting the whole thing on the defense. The offense has some opportunities to give us a lead at halftime. We didn't execute very well in the first half, but like last week, we fight and scratch the claw, get back the lead in the second half. We've got to close out these games.
I had about a 5-hour bus ride back home to kind of think about things. What was the mentality in the locker room and on the ride home between your guys? Very
disappointed, but I also think they understand why we've lost the last 2 ball games. I don't think it's for anything other than we have a lack of execution. So we don't have anybody questioning anything in terms of what's going on. We have a resilient group in there. They just realize that they've got to improve to play better. And to be honest with you, our offense made some improvements from week 2 to week 3. So this loss wasn't, it's a loss is a loss. There's no whatever. But in terms of what our offense was able to do and the progress they're making moves forward. And you have to point to some of those things because that will matter when we line up for Findlay this Saturday.
You're talking about the offense. Both your running backs, Norman Shuford and Hershey Jackson, had career highs in rushing yards, and quarterback Heath Parley threw 4 touchdowns. So that's got to be a little bit of an encouraging sign that the offense is playing well, like you said.
Yeah, and you've got some underclassmen with their first substantial playing time. Norman was our backup tailback last year, but he's our starting tailback. And Hershey played a little bit last year, but definitely not to the extent he is. So
sure.
Those guys are definitely progressed. I think the biggest thing that happened week 2 to week 3 in our rushing game was those guys making some people miss and or Hershey running some people over. And we had more explosive runs in the 3rd game than we had the previous 2. And that's our expectation. Mm-hmm. And so, like you said, the rushing attack then he's progression as a player. I continue to see that. Charles Johnson, again, has 2 touchdown catches again. So his first action, and they get more and more familiar with what we're trying to do on offense. So I'm, as long as we can hang on to the football and execute on the offensive side, those guys are making progress. We got bigger issues on the other side of the ball.
Now, obviously, this stat's going to be told throughout the week. It's the first time Grand Valley's lost back-to-back games since 2004. That was your first year here.
That was here, yep.
But that team, for those who don't know, went on to go 10-3, won 2 road playoff games, almost won a 3rd. How does this team duplicate that success from that year?
By worrying about Findlay, to be honest with you, and the preparation, what it takes to be Findlay. So anytime we spend right now on playoff scenarios, regional rankings, right, internet rankings and chat boards, and it's all wasted time. Mm-hmm. It's just taking away from what we need to do, which is prepare for Findlay, because we're going to have a tough ball game at Findlay. So all that matters is Saturday night against against Findlay. That's all that matters. And then, that's what our focus has to be. So that'll be the message to the team.
Touching on that a little bit, it almost seems like it's a bigger story, as you all know, when Grand Valley loses. It's not a big story when they win. It's no surprise. When they lose, the world's falling, the sky's falling down. kind of what's your take on that?
Well, that's the nature of the success and the tradition that we've had at our program. So, you know, a little bit of my view is that if everybody else is pushing the panic button, maybe I shouldn't. You know, maybe I'm the one that shouldn't be pushing the button. I'm not. You know, if you look back last year, we didn't play great against Hillsdale last year, and we didn't play great against Indianapolis. The difference was we made enough plays to win the ball game. We didn't make enough plays to win these 2 ball games. So the difference between maybe a little bit of the start of last year and the start of this year is not as a stark a contrast when you look at it from that perspective as things are. So moving forward, you have to try to figure out what are the reasons why this is happening. And, you know, yeah, when you have a program that's had the tradition that we have and the attention and stuff like that, there are going to be, you know, some questions. A lot of people, there's going to be stories about us losing, no doubt about that. I understand that, and it's not acceptable for us to lose. But anytime I spend worrying about public perception and how things are going, again, takes me away from the task at hand. That's making sure our coaches and our players are getting ready to beat Findlay.
Findlay comes into town this week with a 1-2 record, coming to Lubbers for the home game. Right now, they own the top rushing mark in the conference, about 260 yards a game. Most of that is Montre Williams with 145 yards a game. What do you know about the Oilers?
Big change in Findlay. We got a new head coach, as you can tell just based on watching tape and, you know, the sidelines and stuff, a lot more energy and enthusiasm in their program. So, you know, we've known about Montre Williams. He's a very good running back. He's been in our league a couple years, and I think the difference between this year and last year is to have a quarterback to complement him. Clay Belton, my fault, is you know, he's a big 6'6" kid. He's very athletic and throw it. So they're doing a lot of zone read and option and getting the quarterback involved in the run game, which that stuff is very difficult to defend and puts a lot of pressure on a defense, and that's why they've been able to have success running the ball.
Biggest key this week to get this thing back on track, what do you think it is?
Just defensively executing and fundamental stuff, reading our keys, being where we're supposed to, tackling, you know, the little things make big differences, and so we've got to get back, you know, again, the little things and what has to be done. And Montre's a good running back, and Clay Belton's a very gifted runner. We're going to have to make sure that we have the hats there and that those hats, you know, tackle those guys, or else they're going to have a big day against us.
Grand Valley State welcomes in Findlay to Lubbers Stadium this Saturday night, September 24th. It's Kids Free Day at 7 o'clock p.m. Mitch, thanks for joining us today.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for watching on the Grand Valley Sports Network. I'm BJ Foster.